Hello and welcome, or maybe even welcome back at Sailing Good Old Boats. Today's episode is going to be all about our old through-hull fittings and failing gate valves. When we looked at the boat for the very first time and did our DIY survey, we found a lot of good and bad things. Amongst that would have been the seized-up diesel engine that is fixed by now. But one thing that we really missed because we just glanced over it, unfortunately, were the gate valves and through-hull fittings that were not in good shape at all. I should have known better when I looked at the zincs and noticed that they were entirely gone and used up. Galvanic current can do a lot of damage to different metals under the waterline, and time will do the rest. Unfortunately, it's a relatively spendy and labor-intensive endeavor to replace them all properly, and that's what today's episode is going to be all about. Enjoy! So that was a success. Let's hear the part. That's the raw water intake, or used to be the raw water intake. I took the scoop off already. There was like a rubber gasket with a scoop, and this here is a mushroom top, what you would find on any normal through-hull fitting. So we decided to loosen it up from the inside. It would come out a little bit, and I managed to just grind it through and cut it off here clean with a metal grinder, with an angle grinder and a metal cutting disc. That's what I used. I mean, fairly soft material, so that wasn't very hard to do. So now we can push it to the inside and get it out and get a new fitting for it. And also we are contemplating right now to glass over and close this one up completely. And reason being is that the engine is sitting right here and you cannot get to it unless you unscrew the cockpit bottom floor panel. And that is the disaster. I can neither get to the drain holes, the big ones, nor to the raw water intake. So we are thinking right now maybe to put it down here below, somewhat into the bilge area or so, where you can actually reach it. In case, I mean, the whole idea is if a hose breaks or comes off, that you can close the ball valve, right? So that's impossible right now. So for that reason we have to redesign all the through-hull fittings a little bit. I think the position is not necessarily ideal, so we'll have to see. Now we got it out, so that is the raw water intake. Like I showed you last time, that came off when I was trying to turn it. It was completely rusted through. This here is seized up, but it was seized up in the open position, as you can see. So you couldn't have closed it, no way, in case of an emergency. This here was a scoop that was on there from the outside. You know, that typical raw water intake that you see on boats for the diesel engine to cool. So that was just on a gasket. And also the inner gaskets were completely rotten away. So this thing is a disaster, it's a failure. It's a ½ an inch threading. So what we are gonna do is we get this whole thing, that mushroom, new, and we put a ball valve on top that you can open and close by turning a lever by 90 degrees the way it's supposed to be, so that you have a fair chance in case of an emergency to close up the valve as it's supposed to be. This here cannot be like that. Not to mention where it is. I mean, down there, good luck, you know, in case of an emergency to get to this, you have to unscrew 4 screws here to take the bottom panel off, because the engine is in the way. No matter what you try, you cannot get to the shutter valves. So it's an absolute disaster. All of this has to be moved forward into the boat. So I decided to take the bench off here, the bench cover, to get to the hoses. So I got this one off, and this one moves a little bit, so hopefully I can leave the through-hull in, because that's the one I cannot get to because of the stand of the trailer that's against it. These two will be flexed out from the outside. That's water in for the toilet and water out. That's the nasty one. That's the poop hole of the boat. That comes out, that comes out, and hopefully I can just unscrew it right here so that I just put on a ball valve instead. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. That'll be kind of an ideal situation, which rarely happens, as we know, because Murphy, right? So yeah, see that we get that son of a gun off here. Oh, nicely corroded. Maybe I should use a little bit WD-40 to be optimistic, you know. No, come on. Yep. Haha. There she moves. Just a little further off finally. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Alright, so I assume that will not come out that easy, but maybe I can now turn this guy at least a little bit. Yeah. Now I can turn this actually a little bit. That's enough to know that the plan could be potentially successful if the stars line up, but they don't. So this has to come out first, and then this here hopefully will unscrew. Hopefully. You see how corroded that is, galvanic current, and you know, so forth and so on. That's crazy. So let's see if we can get at least this guy off. Here's a big fella, because I've loosened up the hose clamp already, and that's a yucky one. That's a poopy one. That is poop out, my friends. Poop out. Not water in, no, that's poop out. Grody, come on. What can I say? I have the poop hose out. That is how the poop hose looks like. Ooh, disgusting. Yep. So that was another big one. So now the plan would be to move this fella, or I'll probably try to grind the mushroom off from the outside, and that would allow me hopefully to take the entire fitting out, and the same with this here. So once I got these two out, we hopefully can move this off here very carefully, very little effort, and reuse this. That's what I'm hoping for. So let's see if that actually works. That'd be tremendous. That would allow us to put another water line on. And I think the reason why this has been so bad versus the other ones is this piece of metal here. Whenever you use two different kinds of metal, you create, in combination with salt water, essentially a battery, right? So it's a galvanic flow. One is an anode, the other the cathode, as you know, and this is what happens, you know. It's the same like in a battery, and I hope that the throughout fitting itself, the mushroom, is still usable. We'll see that once we have this out, and then that out. So it's a game plan for now. Okay, let's rock and roll.
Dann gehe ich mal ein bisschen weiter weg.
Ja. Okay, grinder that son of a gun out, so hopefully I can pound it to the inside now. I'll get through the screwdriver and see what I can do. Yeah, lovely. I can rip it out. Yeah, that was really just disgusting. That was the toilet. It just dropped on my leg, all of it. Gross. But that's just rust.
Right.
I didn't know that poop can turn into rust in a pipe. Rusty
Lovely.
poop. Lovely. Rusty poop on my leg. So that's.
But it doesn't smell.
No, it doesn't. It's too ancient, you know. And if you eat a lot of chili, guys, you can even corrode a pipe away. You see that? That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah. Put it away.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Come on. It doesn't
Poop.
even.
It's poop.
It's poop, but it's rusty poop, so that's cool. So now we are tackling this fella here. That is the water intake of the toilet. Just as nasty as the other one. And that here, by the way, is the one that I told you inside we cannot risk to turn too much because we cannot drill it out and replace it as the boat sits right now on the trailer. Or we would have to, I don't know, move the boat just for that, back and forth on the trailer with the crane. So I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying to get this guy out, and then this we will try to unscrew, save the mushroom fitting, and put a ball valve on top.
Right.
So that's the plan for now. So let's see if that works out. It's kind of tricky. I went down to the gel coat already.
Oh.
And it is hard to hit it right. You can see here the circle. But here I have to get to this part and this part here. It's really not that easy to do without getting the caulking, but it's okay. We do some touch-up later on with epoxy and then recaulk the entire fitting the way it's supposed to be. So we'll sand that down here and this down also, and then do one touch-up with some epoxy fiberglass and then re-drill and have a nice beautiful fitting the way it should be. Now I got it grinded out nicely. As you can see, there's a caulking underneath or glass already. So I'll do the same thing like before. I go to the inside and pound it out from the inside. It seems to work a little easier and better than trying to do that with a screwdriver and a hammer from the outside.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was the one that we just worked. Yeah, from the inside it seems to be much easier. There she is. This is Gegenheim. Now we're trying to get, we have to get a little bit more if we want to come down to the gel coat. Here you can see the gel coat, and this is the laminate. So the gel coat is relatively thick. And we try, what we should do is to clean this all around the potential glue area. And we put the new mushroom fitting into it. That the adhesive can bond properly between the metal and the gel coat. So that's why the anti-fouling has to come down. And I just want to make very sure that we have no contamination on the surface area that will be glued to. So we'll sand it down, and then later on we use some acetone or any other, I don't know, thinner or whatever you can find to clean it really good off, and then we can put the new fitting in. All right. So
Bless you.
Thank you. These here have been recessed into the hull. As you can see, they're not like this typical mushroom that sits over. They actually implement into the hull. So it makes the whole situation even worse. So now we have to find the right angle to grind it out from the inside and then knock it out inside out basically. Victory!
Woohoo!
That is so done. That's a 1 1/4 inch gate valve. We have no idea what yoga positions I have to take here to fit into the hole. It's ridiculous. It's like yoga master. Another traveler over the engine compartment. I don't know how many tools I dropped into this. I ordered actually a strong magnet to get my tools back out of the bilge down there. It's a disaster, but here, that is another one. And this here is the one that we can still use, where we put another valve on top. And all the other ones would have to be redone. That was a raw water intake. So we'll take them home now, take measurements, and then order the correct size of ball valves and fittings. Right guys, today we'll see that we find replacement for what we ripped out of the boat yesterday. There's one more of the 1/4 inch throughout missing, still in the boat, that I need to grind out today. And look what happened here. Never seen that before. Did you see ever a failure like this? That is scary. So much for condition of the gate valves. It broke off right in here. That is absolutely nuts. Never seen that before. So we'll go to Marine Store and see that we find replacements for all of them. Alright guys, here's our first installed seacock. The hose is way too big coming from the sink, and it's complete overkill for this setup anyway, so we'll get a fitting hose on here, run it up and connect it in a different way. Anyhow, this is in and solid, and it is super easy to operate. Really nice. I don't know if you can see that. So that's super nice. And we got a through-hull fitting again that fits. I put this, I don't know what you call it, this plumber's tape around it. So hopefully that will get the job done. It's what was on there before also. So, and I believe this should be okay then. Now the toilet installation will be all new, and this here kind of mushroomed up a little bit, so we'll grind it down, put a backing plate behind it. And here's the next big challenge. By the way, same here for the toilet, for the bigger guy. I couldn't find any marine plywood right now to make backing plates out of, so I have decided to try something out, like laminating them myself onto a plastic bag, and then hopefully I can create like a 1/2 inch thick, 1/4 inch thick at least backing plate to reinforce the area a little bit. You can see I sent it down the inside, so it's not all glass, and I cleaned it with some brush cleaner. Man, you really want to bring some sharp scissors. That material does not cut easy at all. Alright, now the backing plate turned out pretty okay. It's getting really warm on here. That's the way it's supposed to be. It's still tacky. But that's about the thickness that I made. And now I will use some thickening epoxy and glue it into the hull. Put that much in here. Stir it in. It's already thickening up pretty okay, but not quite as much as I needed to, because I'm going for this peanut butter like consistency. So let's add another spoon. All that stuff here, the magic powder. Okay. On my backing plate. That is one nice sandwich. Always stick it in there. So once that hardens out, I'll go and drill through the outside with a former hole and see how it goes. So here's the next backing plate. This time we try to put a little bit of garbage bag on top, hoping that I can just rip it off when it hardens. So let's see if I can rip that off. I used some plastic bag. Oh, beautiful. Comes right off. So now, is it hard? Yes, it is hard. Yeah, now that I pulled the table from the outside, you can see that I messed this up. It slid down and now it's off center. So we'll drill a little, we'll compromise it. We'll drill a little further down, and then when we glue it in, use Pantera, be a little bit more generous on the outside to cover that up, to prevent any resin to be in direct contact with salt water. And hopefully we can situate it somewhat, not quite exactly in the middle, but enough in the middle that the backing plate is doing its job. There you go. Here I cleared a little bit of the hull away so that you have kind of an indent funnel shape to build it up with glass and epoxy resin, you know. So I think rule of thumb is about 12 times as wide as the thickness of the hull. So went by about 1 centimeter or half an inch of hull thickness here, and took that much out to build it up. So what we'll do is from the inside a backing plate made from fiberglass, and then from the outside basically the first layer this size, then the next one a little bit smaller, and so forth and so on until you reach the middle, and that will basically restructure the actual thickness of the hull. And then we can re-drill a new raw water intake that will be reinforced with a backing plate and hopefully come up about 1 inch thick to reinforce this. I did the same with the cockpit drain here. There's also like a nice depression basically that I sanded out of here, and same hull thickness, about 1 centimeter or half an inch thick. So I went by 12 centimeter radius like a disc with the indent depression, and we'll fill that up with epoxy resin and fiberglass. So alternating basically a fillet mat and a woven mat and so forth and so on until we reach the actual thickness of the hull again. Yeah, and the backing plate that I already implemented, you can see in here I have to sand that plane, but it's pretty solid, and here we will not do much from the outside. I have not really taken off much, so we'll basically just simply plane that a little bit and then re-drill from here. It never feels very good drilling holes into your boat, especially under the waterline. But I have to find the right angle. I drilled a pilot hole before, so hopefully I can get the angle right and get the water intake for the toilet installed. It's gonna take a while. And the backing plate really added a lot of thickness to it, so that should give some support right there. I will kind of cone this out here, take a little bit of the edges, so that later on when I put it on with a mushroom ring, the Pantera, the glue that I used to put it in with, will nicely bed in here and seal it off. So I take a little bit of the edge off here. Very improvised, but it works. Nice and flush. That's the first dry fit. I think it looks pretty sweet. And again, this is only a dry fit, and then I'll take our measurements, cut the through hole, and then use some Pantera. That's the blue kind of stuff that they use over here in Europe a lot. There's also Sikaflex and a lot of other brands, so your preference. You know, I mean, there's always 1,000 ways to do this, but this here feels super sturdy. I like it. I'm very happy with it. That's exactly what I was looking for. So now I'm trying to do the throughout for the toilet, 1.5 inch. Hope that's gonna do it. Should be okay. Wow. It's going to take a while. Whoa. That's a good thickness. Bit more than, I want to say, more, yeah, about 1/2 inch, a little thicker than that. So I just dry fitted that bad boy here for the toilet. So it's a nice ball valve, works great. And you can see, you know, in case you need it, you can just close it super quick. So that's where I want it to be. And also, I got the elbow for it. This guy here, 1.5, because the toilet and all the other appliances are over there, this way. The dry install of the toilet through hull and the toilet water intake and the sink, all of them will go into this direction, so these 2 3/4 will also get elbows. And on this guy here and over here I have to shorten the pipe. So I marked it, how much I have from here to there, and I kind of calculate down that thread that it's taking up right now in here and bring it down so that I have about 1/2 inch play, I guess, to make it as short as possible. That's the arm, remains like super short. The backing plate is sturdy, it worked, so I'm very happy, very pleased with the outcome here. Looks really good. That was it for today's episode. If you enjoyed yourself, please give us a like, or even better yet, subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to click the little alarm bell icon so that you will be notified whenever we release a new video. You can also support our productions by becoming part of the crew and join us on Patreon. Link down below. Take good care of yourself, and we'll see you next time on Sailing Good Old Boats.